despite everything, I do have some misgivings with some of the side content for NieR Automata, namely the 2 stories that take place after the game, which are Farewell and End of Data. And this is something that I have talked about before in other videos. And as people really like the extra scenarios and the side stories that come out of NieR Automata specifically, but they're always so sad. And some part of me is like, I want to be a 9S dead. I want a rock to fall on both of them at the same time and to just wipe them out. Because then nothing bad will happen to them anymore. Like, people want an Automata sequel, and I'm like, you want more things to happen to 2B and 9S? I wanted them to wake up after ending E and be okay. And I want them to travel this world that is now free of strife. And the scenarios and the concerts and etc. very much do not reflect that. But that was my wish, and that is not really the reality of NieR.
Moshi, この世界が呪いに満ちていても、もしこの世界が罰を与えようと、
その輪廻の中で私たちは抗い続ける。祈りの言葉を歌いながら。
The way that the anime ended, it gave me something that I forgot that I wanted. Like with the End of Data and the Farewell stories, I found them to be heavy, but I had accepted them because what are you gonna do? You know, they're already out there. I enjoyed the show, so I might as well say, yeah, they're gonna go through it again. They're gonna go through it again and again. I guess that's what this is about. But the way that the anime ended, it was the thing that I had wanted to see all of those years ago. It was the thing that I had wanted to see the most and had completely forgotten about. The second half of the anime is very heavy. It's the emotional climax of the story, and it pays off on all of the depressing things that it built up to. And living with that week by week, even though I enjoy it, I like the tragedy, but still, like, every week being like, what awful thing is gonna happen next? I think it does, like, weigh on you in a way. And it also allowed me to achieve maximum catharsis when I got to see the ending. And this made me think about how I interact with the characters and with my dolls. Because following the anime, following this great catharsis, I really wanted to see, like, fan art and stuff just of the characters being happy. Like, they're free now! You know, that's what I want to see. And I love to take angsty cosplay photos. That's probably my favorite thing to do ever. I have to force myself to take happy cosplay photos. But I realize that I don't really take angsty photos with my dolls. And even though I could, even though there are so many, like, depressing scenes I can reenact, especially having the 2 of them, it has never once crossed my mind. And that made me realize that I view my dolls as a source of joy and a source of comfort, and I don't want to depict them that way. And following the end of the anime, I've wanted the dolls to be themselves. I enjoy dressing them up. That's probably the topic of half of my channel at this point. And I've rarely even done photo shoots of them as themselves. I think I have like 2 or 3 good pictures of them in their regular outfits. And I think that's because in my eyes, everything that they've endured is behind them. And now they're wearing fancy gothic Lolita outfits, and they're going to the beach together, and they're doing all these things. But yeah, just getting this catharsis from the anime made me want to have the characters as themselves. And what we're leading up to is a photo shoot. So it is fall right now. Not like fall, but like the end of summer, beginning of fall, when we're starting to see some wildlife action. But we haven't seen the leaves turning yet. And this is a time of year that I think I have not paid enough attention to, because there are always flowers blooming somewhere. You might not realize it, but they're out there. And earlier this year, I have not yet edited the video. This is on the same track as the last video I put out, where it's just gonna, I'm just waiting for spring to come back around. But this spring, I went to a garden to do photos. I've been keeping an eye on the garden, and I found out that they had some beautiful wildflowers blooming. And I really wanted to photograph these wildflowers, but I was like, I don't have a good outfit for 9S and 2B. I just bought some really cool gothic outfits. They won't be here in time. Well, what's the point? But being in the emotional fallout of the anime and feeling like I want the characters to be themselves again, it hit me like, what if I do a photo shoot of 2B and 9S and they're just happy? So what I decided to do was reclaim the side stories. I wanted to reclaim End of Data. So on the End of Data concert poster, it has 2B and 9S in these cool cloaks with these cool walking sticks. And End of Data is a little bit, the thing that depressed me about it was like, it just doesn't end. They're falling apart. You can see like 9S has a bandage in the picture. The whole story is about them falling apart. They're looking for parts. They're scrounging. And another thing that helped me reclaim that was a suggestion by one of my NieR friends that End of Data might not be the sequel to Farewell, but the sequel to the anime. And the reason for that is because the pods aren't there, and the pods are there in Farewell. And I do think that was part of what made it so sad to me, is that Farewell is about 9S breaking down, and then End of Data is about 2B breaking down. So it's like they have a month left to live at tops. But if I think about it as the anime ends, we get that beautiful happy moment. I took End of Data to be kind of depressing, but having talked to some friends about it, End of Data is also about them breaking the cycle of suffering, and it does end on a hopeful note. So with all of this swimming around in my head, what I wanted to do was depict a journey, like a happy journey, because even if they are going to struggle, and even if there are going to be hard times, there are always flowers blooming somewhere. So with this plan in action, what I needed to do was make the props, which would be capes for 2B and 9S and their walking sticks. And thank goodness, because if I had needed to make full outfits, I would not have made it in time. For their capes, this was really fun. I love to make things that are weathered and scraggly looking. So I made it exactly the way I made the cape that I wore to End of Data. So the way these are made is I took scraps of fabric and I sewed them together by hand. A lot of this is very freestyle, just draping, seeing how things work, and I didn't use a pattern. I think this helps make it look patchwork. It makes it look rugged. Also, to maintain the rugged look, I chose not to do any hemming and just leave the ends frayed. After I had sewn the capes together, they looked a little plain and underwhelming, so I got to do my favorite thing ever, which is weathering. I did this with dry brushing and a combination of brown, gray, and black paint. Next up was their walking sticks. It may look like they have plain sticks, but looking at the artwork, it's clear that 2B has the iron pipe from the game. I asked around about NieR's stick to see if it was any specific kind of weapon that I could pull up references for, but it does seem to be just a stick. So that gave me some more creative liberties. For both sticks, I used a foam dowel as a base. I had bought this for a different project, but found that it was way floppier than I expected, so I've just had them stashed away. And both of them ended up being the perfect height, so I didn't even need to do any trimming. For 2B's iron pipe, I wanted to start by getting that little bend that's in the top of the pipe. And to help maintain that bend, I inserted a little wire. Afterwards, I glued on foam segments, then primed it with Mod Podge and spray painted it with metallic paint. From then on, it was just weathering to make the pipe look ruined and like a pipe. For NieR's, this was the first time I've ever tried to create a wood finish. To get the lumps and bumps on the staff, I used foam clay. Foam clay is something I have only recently started working with because I realized it would probably be really useful to me to learn how to use foam clay. Since it's a material I'm not super familiar with, my work with it does come out a little bit sloppy, but considering this is an organic item, I figured this was a good time to be sloppy. So I just took my hands and made lumps around, loosely sculpted to try to create the idea of a piece of wood. From then on, I primed it, then spray painted it brown, and took an X-Acto knife to do little foam carvings. It was at this point that I thought I would personalize it a bit, and I actually carved 2B plus NieR into the staff. I was worried that this wouldn't show up, but as I was doing each step, I would refresh the carving to make sure that it showed up well. Then at the end, to enhance the carvings, I did a little bit of dry brushing, which was where I realized I don't know a lot about creating wood technique, but I think it came out pretty good. And I also took a thin black brush and highlighted more of those carvings. I was really happy with how these came out. Making the end of data outfits was not something that I think I would have done. I think it would like be on my list, but not be something I would have done were it not for the photo shoot. And I really enjoy having these extra little pieces for them. Today's my first ever date with 2B, and everything must be absolutely perfect. First, we'll feed the ducks. Then we'll walk around the park. And finally, we'll watch the sunset together, hand in hand. I've planned out every second of this date, right down to 2B's reactions to my jokes. There isn't one thing I haven't thought of. 9S, I'm cold. Give me your coat. But I'm not wearing it. This is my shirt. I don't have a coat. There you go, little guy. And now it's time for the photo shoot. So I arrived at the location about an hour after I had wished I had, and because of that I had to hustle a bit. The only downside to that, though, was that I couldn't spend as much time as I'd have liked in the wildflower field. But I really liked the pictures I got. I think I've gotten better at condensing my shoots down to unique and varied shots. Another thing that I thought about during this part was what kind of couple they would be. So around the time of the last episode of the anime, a lot of us fans were hoping that they would kiss. And I had my reasons for thinking that, but they did not kiss, and that is understandable considering what kind of pairing this is. Like, if you're after something like that, this is maybe not the best pairing to be into, and I'm well aware of that. But also in End of Data, I remember hoping that there would be some kind of further confirmation or elaboration of their relationship, which there was not, outside of the characters speaking fondly of each other, and 9S does hug 2B, which was thrilling, absolutely thrilling. So with that in mind, I was thinking that they would be the kind of couple who shows their affection not with words, but with actions. So that's something I applied in this shoot, sort of like, we're out looking at this beautiful scenery, and I will rest my head on your shoulder. I will put my arm around your waist, and I will put my head in your lap. So, stuff like that. With all of that in mind, though, I had tons of fun with this shoot, so please enjoy. And that concludes the photo shoot. I was really happy with the pictures that I got. My last video was some older pictures, and I was really happy I was able to get this one out because this is like where my work is at currently. I always put in one earbud and listen to like fitting music when I take these pictures, and I found myself getting like really emotional thinking about them together. On that embarrassing note, no, I'm not gonna be ashamed. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Are you a NieR fan? Are you not a NieR fan? I do strongly believe you don't need to be a NieR fan to enjoy these videos. I try to, have nice pictures and make an atmospheric vibe. So if you're not a NieR fan, thank you for watching. Are you a doll collector? Do you like going on photo shoots? Did you know that there were beautiful wildflowers in the fall that you can get pictures with? It's not just about the leaves. And I can't think of any more questions. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you for watching and have a great fall.